The jury deciding the fate of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has reached a verdict. Their decision will be revealed in the next hour. A notice posted on the county court website reveals a verdict has been reached and will be read between 3:30 and 4 p.m. local time, which is in around about half an hour or so local time here in Australia. Jurors deliberated for 4 hours on Monday and resumed deliberating this morning at about 8 o'clock their time. The city and the nation is on edge for the possible outbreak of violence if he's found innocent of the murder of African-American man George Floyd. Let's get the latest now from our US correspondent Annalise Nielsen. She's live from the Minneapolis court. Annalise, good morning. The jury deliberated for about a total of 10 hours.
That's right, Pete. They were deliberated, as you mentioned, for about 4 hours yesterday, another 6 hours today, and the tension in Minneapolis is palpable. We've been around the city today and windows are boarded up right across the city. The National Guard also has a very strong presence on the streets. There's a number of different motorcades going around, and so we're just outside the court complex here where the trial was streamed live to the country. You can see that the armaments are here ready, and now the protesters are really starting to gather, and that's what has so many people, especially in authority in Minneapolis, but people who live here, concerned as well. You can also see the media contingent has really fired up. This hasn't had the same kind of media scrum throughout the trial that you might expect because it has been streamed live, and so people have been consuming it on national television. They call it gavel-to-gavel coverage here, which of course is something pretty bizarre for Australians. Also quite unusual has been the amount of political pressure being put onto this trial, because it did spark those months of riots across the country. 1,300 buildings just in Minneapolis were damaged, about 100 destroyed. And so this is something people are feeling palpably. So what we've seen today is now even President Biden weighing in on the trial. Now, he made the point that he was only doing this because the jury had been sequestered, that they weren't going to be influenced by his comments, but he did reveal he called George Floyd's family last night.
They're a good family, and they're calling for peace and tranquility, no matter what that verdict is. I'm praying the verdict is the right verdict, which is, I think it's overwhelming in my view. I wouldn't say that unless the jury was sequestered now, not hear me say that. But so we just talked to them. I want to know how they were doing, just personally, and we talked about personal things.
Pete, Derek Chauvin faces 3 potential charges: second-degree murder, third-degree murder, or a manslaughter charge. One of the things the jury is going to have to decide is whether there were aggravating circumstances, things like a serious crime, such as if they find on the second-degree murder charge an assault with intention to inflict grievous bodily harm being done in the presence of a minor, which you could see from that footage there was a minor there, but they haven't proved the charge necessarily. If they do decide that there's aggravating circumstances, they can go beyond the sentencing recommendations. So, for example, that second-degree murder charge, that means that they could sentence Derek Chauvin to up to 40 years. It does seem like this wasn't a quick decision necessarily. We used the example yesterday, the O.J. Simpson trial. They only took 4 hours to find their verdict. This has taken at least 10 hours, so potentially there was some discussion around one of the charges or potentially all of them. We don't know what's happened in that jury room, but we'll find out in just potentially half an hour's time.